This video is for new or returning clients to counseling. You should have received a PDF version of the Consent to Counseling and Client and Clinician Rights and Responsibility forms from your counselor, as well as information about your counselor's background. Please review those documents, along with the informed consent video, to make sure you understand. They will be easier to read in the PDF format. To fill out the Consent to Counseling form, click the first option, entitled Consent to Counseling. First, you will need to enter your name, first name, last name, your date of birth with your 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year, and your student ID number if you know it. Click Complete Form and Continue. This will take you to the electronic version of our Consent to Counseling document. The first place where you will need to initial after reading the information is right here. It says, by initialing here, I indicate that my counselor has reviewed their educational background, experience, and therapeutic style with me, and I understand the possible risks and benefits of counseling. If my counselor is an intern, I understand they are under the supervision of a licensed psychologist. You initial here if you understand after reading this and agree to this piece of the Consent to Counseling document. You can use your finger if you're using a touch device, or your mouse or trackpad if you are using a computer. If you don't like your signature, your initials, you can click Clear Signature and start again. The next section you will initial is about a third of the way down the page. By initialing here, you say that you have understood and read the policies related to counseling confidentiality and the limitations that have been identified in this document. This also indicates that you understand that counselors have a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week obligation to make mandatory reports, regardless of whether they're acting in their official counseling capacity. Initial here, and again, if you don't like your initials, you can click Clear Signature and start again. The next section that requires specific action beyond reading and understanding the document is related to email contact. CCC does have the ability to send appointment reminders, and if you would like to, you can communicate with us regarding scheduling via email. It is not a requirement to receive counseling services to consent to contact by email. Please select your choice as to whether you want counseling to be able to communicate with you via your email, your CCC email in particular. Click I accept if you give permission, or I do not accept, meaning that the counseling department may not communicate with you via email. In this case, I'm going to choose I accept. At the end of the document, there is a question in a drop-down menu about who completed the form. If you completed the form for yourself, you would check or select self. If you have a legal guardian, such as a parent, who is completing the form on your behalf, they would select the option legal guardian. In this case, I filled out the document for myself, so I'm going to check self. The final piece is signing the document to confirm that you understand and agree to consent to counseling services. I messed up my signature, so I'm going to click Clear Signature. By signing here, I'm giving my consent. And I can use, again, my finger if I'm using a touch device, or a mouse or trackpad if I'm using my computer. I still didn't like my signature, so I'm going to click Clear Signature again. Once I've completed the form, I would click Complete Form and Continue. However, if I have any questions, it's important that you ask your counselor. So if you have any questions before you submit this form, please ask your counselor. To finish the paperwork, click End Session to return to the main menu. Next, you will select the second menu option, entitled Client and Clinician Rights and Responsibilities. Again, you will need to enter your first name, last name, your date of birth with 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year, and your student ID number if possible. Click Complete Form and continue. This document requires you to review it carefully. However, it only has one step for completion once you are done. Again, make sure you ask any questions that you have of your counselor before signing this document. There's only one signature box on this document, and it's in about the middle of the page. Once you have read, understood, and agreed to this document, please sign it. If you are using your computer, you can use your mouse or trackpad. If you're using a touch device, you can use your finger. And as always, if you don't like your signature, you can click Clear Signature and start again. Once you've completed your signature and you have no more questions, click Complete Form and continue. If you have additional paperwork to fill out, you can click End Session to return to the main menu. Otherwise, you have completed your forms.